it's Crystal and it's video 2 of the curriculum and books that we're using in the 2023-24 year. So my first video was Bible, math, history, our history main picks, Plutarch, geography, biographies, and tales. This video is I'm going to be sharing our main literature picks, writing and copywork, and dictation, our grammar, citizenship and government picks, foreign language, and poetry, and a few more picture books that I wanted to share with you guys. So let's get started. First, don't forget, download your Form 2 guide. It's free for members. And I have a third video. I went like that. I meant that. I have a third video that will come out as well with science and nature and morning circle common subjects, picture study and composer study, Shakespeare community classes, and our supplemental read-alouds. So it sounds like a lot. Don't let a lot of books overwhelm you though, guys. One thing that I have really come to appreciate is we can enjoy a lot of different books throughout the year. That does not mean you have to read cover to cover every single book. You can pick passages. You can choose stories from those books. You can pre-read a book and say, 3/4 of this book does not really apply to what we're studying. So here, just read these few chapters. Just don't let a lot of books overwhelm you, and don't think that every single book that I show you is we touch on every single day. Obviously, that would be impossible. We do a lot of looping and scheduling, and I will actually be sharing the planner I am using in my last video. So, okie dokie. Let's start with our main literature picks. So for our Form 3 child around 8th grade, he will have choices. Every term, I really enjoy offering my children choices because when you get their buy-in into what they're reading, obviously within boundaries, I'm not offering him the entire library to go pick something out, but I have pre-selected and spent a ton of time researching which books I think he would appreciate the most. So each term he gets to choose a book from the selections. So the first term, okay, so since the medieval period that we're studying starts with the Viking ages, I have the 2 books. One of them is The Story of Rolf and the Viking Bow. And the second one is Raiders from the Sea. These are both highly recommended in different medieval period study guides and references and resources online. I'm really excited about some of these novels that we have. And then for the second term, he will choose between The Red Keep and Wolf the Saxon. So they're roughly the same. These ones I purchased on Rainbow Resource. This one and these Allen French books. These are from Rainbow Resource. And then obviously this is a New West Press version of Wolf the Saxon. I will link these below. And then for term 3, I keep doing this like term 3 or video 3. No, it's 3. I know how to say 3. I promise. Okay, is In Freedom's Cause. And then Louis L'Amour, Sackett's Land, which is actually about a man's conquest. I read this last couple months ago, and I love Louis L'Amour. So for my daughter, in addition to video 1, our main historical fiction and historical read-alouds for her, I have several literature books that I'm excited to share, and I'm going to let her kind of decide which ones we read each term based on this stack. So we have Black Beauty. I just have an older version. Skylark. We read the first one of this, which is Sarah Plain and Tall. Wizard of Oz. The Night at Dawn, which these take like 2 minutes to read. My son and I read through the first 44 Magic Treehouse books, and so she's not as much of a fan, and I'm okay with that. Anyway, The Sword in the Tree, The Wheel on the School, The Borrowers, sorry about the stickers, guys, Cricket in Times Square, and Stuart Little. So those are all just kind of some fun literature picks that I really didn't want to miss any of these, but I don't know if we'll get through them all this year, but she will have her choice with those. Okay, what do we have next? Oh, writing and copywork and dictation and grammar. Okay, so my son will be doing Lost Tools of Writing, and he did IEW for a few years. He's been doing a creative writing class this year. And with this Lost Tools of Writing, he will actually be reading through the Narnia series. So that will help guide him through his lost tools with a few peers. My daughter will be, I have a few options for her. I've not completely solidly said, yes, this is what we're doing. We're gonna see where she's at come fall. And through the year, I have a feeling we might dabble in a few things and or just loop different writing curriculum, which is totally okay to do, guys. Don't feel like because you have one thing, you've got to crush it all year. No. Try out a few things and see what works for your child. There may be some resistance if you are trying to force things. Some resistance is okay. Your children need to learn to push through that, but also, you know, if your child's in tears every single day, then that could be an issue. Maybe you should choose something else. Okay, so one thing we have been using, and we used it with our first, is using language well and spelling wisdom. Slowly going through that, and she's great with it. She actually enjoys it. And another thing that we've been using is imitation in writing. She's been doing the fables, and we touch on that once or twice a week. It's not a strenuous thing. It's super simple and easy, but I picked up the medieval legends, which is, there's fables, fairy tales, and then medieval legends. And then it goes Greek myths, Greek heroes, and grammar of poetry, which we have grammar of poetry, and we went through about half of it with our older. Anyway, the imitation in writing is a great program, especially if you're trying to bridge the gap between a non-writer and something like IEW or another writing program. These are very bite-sized, chewable. Another thing that we have used is writing and rhetoric. That is a great program as well. And you could start with fables. I actually have that curriculum in the closet. It just depends on your tastes and your child and what you would like to work with and what you're excited to sit down and work on with your child as well. So there's that. Copywork. I picked up Prescripts, which is actually classical conversations. My daughter's been pretty heavily done really well in her cursive. So I picked this up, and these are historical medieval cursive sentences. I guess I don't even know how else to say that. Our son has enjoyed his president's cursive. That's in one of my past videos. Okay, so what's next? Grammar. So I will say that lost tools for writing and things like using language well, these actually go through grammar just at a much more gentle pace. So if you really want to tackle grammar, I have a lot of parents who are like, yeah, but grammar. I do think that focusing on it for a few years is important, but we dip in and out of structured grammar lessons. So we've been using also primary language lessons by Emma Searle, and I brought that out in my last video, and I think that's hopefully helped a few of you guys. And we're getting past the structured reading lessons probably by fall, but we've been using Happy Cheetah, and that has worked really well as well. So if you want structured grammar lessons, I highly recommend Easy Grammar. It's very straightforward and just very straightforward and simple. And you know me, that's what I like to go for. Okay, I promised citizenship, government and foreign language, and poetry. Okay, so let's just do poetry next, because I really am excited about our poetry. We're going to be doing things like Pied Piper and Poetry for young people, highly recommend these. This is, it's usually poetry for young people or poetry for children, I think, is another version. I don't know if it's the same, it's probably not the same series, but we pull from those all the time. I think the last time I pulled out Carl Sandburg was like 4 years ago with our kids. So, and then our son for Form 3, our morning circle, I picked up an Ambleside online poetry anthology with Robert Frost, Carl Sandburg, and some others. And these are just anthologies, and this one's linked below as well. We really appreciate the Ambleside Online gals and all they do for our families. So our son will be going through a few additional poetry books and ballads because 8th grade, that's just what you do, Form 3. Okay, so the first one is Ballad of the White Horse. This one is by G.K. Chesterton, and it's a fictional account of a historical battle between the Anglo-Saxons and the Danish Vikings. So that's term 1. We're going to have Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Again, I pray that he reads through this whole thing, but I would not be surprised if he dipped his feet in and went through it slowly and enjoyed it just to enjoy it during his poetry reading moments. And then Beowulf, I was supposed to get to it this year and I didn't. I still keep putting it off. But there are a lot of guides out there to help parents move through poetry with their children. But I've noticed that with our son in particular, he enjoys sitting down and reading it quietly, just for 5 to 10 minutes a day. And he's usually able to, I think, comprehend more poetry than I ever could at his age. And it's probably just due to exposure to a higher level of language than I ever was in public school. Okay, so Citizenship and Government. Our daughter, roughly, for Form 2, Charlotte Mason even recommended stories from the history of Rome. We did this with our son as well, but this is a great prelude to Plutarch. So for her, this is what I will be reading through with her. And and then our Form 3 student will be reading Whatever Happened to Justice, which is kind of the government slant. And what is it? First Citizenship. There's another book that we did, but I think that was in 5th grade. So I will bring that up maybe next year. But these are our 2 main ones for government, citizenship, and then obviously Plutarch for our Form 3 child. Okay, so foreign language. This one's tricky. I mean, you feel like you're covering a zillion things already. I have enjoyed Minimus Latinus, and my son has as well. He has tried Visual Latin, and it was okay. I don't feel like the retention was there as much. I don't think I'm going to start my daughter with Visual Latin, even though I have all the lessons, because it just, some of it, I don't think it appeals to her. I mean, it is a male teacher. So we did the Memoria Press. So our oldest child did Memoria Press Greek alphabet. It's just a workbook. He really enjoys it. I understand it's not for everyone. But for Spanish, he's taken a class, several classes, and I'm just struggling with foreign language, guys. So every recommendation ever given to me, teaching it from home myself, never works out. I never feel like I have the bandwidth, and I apologize if that totally lets a bunch of you down. I just don't. I like people who are fluent in their language teaching my children, or who really know the roots of words, which we've been using classical roots as well this year, and that's worked out famously. I just don't think my son will have the bandwidth for it next year to continue, but I will eventually get my daughter into the classical roots program as well. That's really great for roots. So that being said, the Memoria Press Greek alphabet workbook has been amazing. And so I picked up this, which is, our son loves breaking codes and anything logic. I feel like it's way probably under his grade level, but it's just something fun to do. We will move into the next Memoria Press Greek workbook. And for Latin, I chose this year Lively Latin. It is a new to us program. We're gonna see how it goes. I will just pray that this is a winner. I think Latin's still a very important subject. Okay, anyway, moving on to some more picture books that you guys are really excited to see. Okay, so again, we're going through the medieval period, and I have a medieval feast. I have, I picked all of these out purposefully for my children. So if you see things that are appealing, great, but don't feel like you ever need to get all of these books. Keep in mind, there are a few from the library. For the most part, I have purchased them used online. I try not to buy things full price if possible, just to save money. And we're obsessed with books. Okay, Richard the Lionheart. This one's more of a graphic novel, and these are more for fun on the side with independent reading time. Hernan Cortez, The Life of Spanish Conquistador. Again, this is a graphic novel for my son. I have not read through these, guys. You make sure you read through the books before your kids do and make sure that they're appropriate. I can't imagine for an 8th grader these would be inappropriate, but keep in mind, I still have to read every single book for the most part that we will be reading for next year, or at least my son will be reading independently. If I'm reading through it with my daughter, like all of these, I know these are all good. I will be reading them along with her. Okay, so Life in the Middle Ages, The Canterbury Tales, but this one's a picture book. Excuse me. Discovery of the Americas, Castle, and The Kitchen Knight. And you guys, next video, I've got a whole stack more of reference books, resource books, picture books, so you won't want to miss that as well. Okay, I think I covered everything for video 2 that I promised, and you aren't going to want to miss science and nature and our morning circle things that we have lined up. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. You guys, whatever we're doing, I just hope it's helpful. I hope that it inspires you. I would never ever imagine any of you would go out and do exactly what we're doing. That's not why I'm here. I am here to encourage you and support you in whatever you decide. And leave your comments below if you have any questions. Just be sure to watch the other videos too, because some of those questions might be answered. And I will see you guys next video. All right, thanks, bye.